Well, here we are once more. Hello, everyone, and welcome to V8 Online's coverage of the Monday night V8 Supercar Strength of Field race. We're kicking things off a little earlier here tonight because there are so many talking points heading into this new season. But before we get into that, let's get some introduction out of the way. I'm Bo Albert, and I'll be joined by the ever-entertaining Zach Henlon, and of course, that random Jay Kennedy fella who keeps finding his way into a commentary booth somehow, so we decided to give him a job, and he'll be taking charge of the cameras once more this season. But Zach, last season, what a season it was. Drama at every twist and turn. The unforgettable first lap at Zolder, the last stint heartbreak for Brady at Bathurst, and of course, a brand new champion being crowned.
Yeah, there were so many memorable moments, and another congratulations to Marlon J. McMullen for taking out the Season 2 championship. It was well earned with some very consistent drives and many solid performances throughout the entire season. And I mean, there was a lot of drama, wasn't there? There was a lot of biffo, a lot of door-to-door action, a lot of bumping and exciting times, but it was Marlon in the end that took it, and he did take it by a bit of a fair margin. But looking at some of the drivers that we're looking to have in our field tonight, looks like it could even be turned up an even extra level this season.
Absolutely, the field is getting just that little bit bigger, and this strength of field we might be facing here at Mosport is going to be one of the higher ones we've seen in quite some time. But Mosport is only just the starting point for this season. Of course, they've got the setups from Scops here, which did feature in the week 13, of course, for iRacing. But it's only going to be round number 1. And Zach, round number 2, where's that going to take us to?
Round number 2 is going to be taking us to the ever lovely Bathurst, which we only raced at very recently. So I imagine that a few people will still have a bit of juice left over from that to take into that race. And Brady Myers was looking very hot there, unfortunately, succumbing to his own poor, I guess it was a tiny mistake pulling that gear too early and blowing his motor coming down the hill there. So hopefully he'll be able to get a bit of revengeance and step on the top step on that occasion. But there are so many great races that we have coming up this season, including the first ever V8 Supercar race at the fantastic Belle Isle track in Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those circuits where, it might just be able to knock the crown jewel of the series away from Bathurst. Of course, Bathurst always crowned as one of the best in the season, but this season, Detroit Belle Isle is really going to have a lot of eyes on it, and everyone's really going to be focusing on putting in a lot of effort. Of course, there is a possibility that it could potentially get put into a Scop schedule this season or even later next season, but that will all have to be determined, and a lot of that is going to depend on how that race goes. So expect an incredibly large strength of field for that race. And of course, there's always going to be a little bit of drama when the concrete walls are around. But as we do get into practice now, and the drivers are getting ready to get their very first laps here at Mosport, we will turn our attention to what is happening on track, because qualifying is underway, Zach, and this strength of field, 4.5k, is one of the biggest we've seen, and look at the names in here.
Yeah, it's absolutely monumental, and there are some fantastic names in here, big names from Scops. We've even got a real-life V8 Supercar driver in Richie Stanaway, who's going to be joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll all be very eager to see how he does from going from a real-life racing car in the sim, see how he does there. But we've got Jared Filsell, obviously V8 Scops champion. We've got Josh K. Rogers. We've got Ethan Grigg Galt, and obviously Marlon McMullen, our returning champion. And Dane Warren, who's always up there putting in some great results, always fighting for a win. So it's really going to kick off tonight.
It's certainly, but we do have an incredible amount of talent in this field, like you said, with a total of 7 former champions in this grid, which is just mind-boggling to think about. And speaking of championship, one of our championship leaders at the moment for the first soft of the season includes Michael Cracknell. Second championship currently is Sam Blacklock as we head into the soft tonight. And also a lot of other big names in here, but one driver that is in a very slightly different looking car for a number of reasons is Scott Larnack. Of course, recently moved over to Team TTL Esports. And Zach, it's a TTL car, but it's also a Commodore.
Yeah, I know. It's not very often that you would see that, and I don't know if they had to go and hire their their painter to actually go out and do that, especially for this race. But it does seem that Brady Myers is also in a TCL Commodore as well. So have to see if those guys can find a little more horses from those Holden motors and push themselves forward. Brady at the moment sitting in 7th position, and I think Scott yet to do a lap, but a couple of Fords up ahead of him, so they've got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. The Fords are pretty quick sometimes, but at the moment it is a Holden show up front with Ethan Grigault taking out the pole time at the moment by almost 0.2 of a second over Dane Warren, who is also in a Holden, as well as Jake Burton. So very, very tight between Warren and Burton actually, and these times are already so close throughout the entire field. Of course, it's only a short circuit and only weighing in at 3.96 kilometers. And there aren't many major braking zones, so it's really about how much speed you can carry into the corner, how much apex speed, and how easily you can get on the throttle. And even the best of the best can struggle. At the moment, Jared Philsell, only P number 5.
Yeah, well, as you said, it's a track that requires a lot of momentum, and you've really got to have that flow going. One of the hardest areas would be coming down into turn number 5, that braking zone into... I've forgotten the name of the corner now, but the hairpin corner down at the bottom of the hill. Very, very hard on the brakes, and also very tricky to get the power down as you're coming out of that corner. So I think a lot of people will be looking to use that as an overtaking opportunity, if not further down the straight into the long sweeping right-hander. If you can get up far enough down that straight, you might be able to make a move into there.
Yep, there are certainly a few overtaking opportunities around here, but you don't want to be making too many of them, and Philsell gets 2 overtakes done early in qualifying, moves himself up to P number 3 with that lap, but still behind Josh Rogers, who is returning to the V8 Supercar after his, of course, a massive amount of focus heading into the World Championship Series with a fantastic drive. I won't spoil the result, but a fantastic drive last time out at Silverstone for him. In the Burst Esports car, but still a few drivers on track just trying to improve their times a little bit, but a lot struggling at the moment. The track temperature not playing into the favor of getting that second lap. 27 track at the moment, and even though there is still a little bit of grip left in the tires, not all of them are able to extract the same pace they could on the first lap. But one driver who is trying to replicate another lap is Mitch McLeod, heading into the final few corners through the S's section, even though it's not much of an S's at all. And he's going to fire it now down into the left-hander and then into a tight right-hander, which can be an overtaking opportunity, but not in a qualifying session, because it's all about maximizing the speed out. Heading to the line, needs a 17.6 or better to improve. Across the line, a 17.7 is going to leave him down in 16th place.
Yeah, very nice. And Corey Preston just knocked himself up into 7th position with a 1:17.1. And Corey's one of those drivers who can find speed quite often. We have seen times where even with a decent qualifying performance, he has been further down the grid. But Corey Preston will definitely be looking to survive the race, which has been probably his biggest issue in the last season. So we'll hope that Corey can survive this one and push himself forward a little bit, try and get up into that top 5. Another name that's pretty up there as well, Brett Loxton, who had a fantastic season last time, actually ended up 3rd overall in the championship. Brett Loxton did, and currently sitting in the 19th highest rated car at the moment, up in position number 8, doing very well there. And I mean, this field, everywhere you look down the field, there are names you know, and all these guys and girls are very, very quick. We're gonna have a cracker tonight.
We are going to have a cracker, but one driver that needs a cracking race is Marlon McMullen, reigning champion, earns the number 1 on his car. It's very fitting that he has the number 1 on his car after winning the championship, but the only one in his position at the moment is P21, a disaster in qualifying, and he is going to be bitterly disappointed with that result. But it looks like nearly everyone has finished their laps. Cooper Webster is on his 2nd lap though, trying to extract just a little bit more, the only car on circuit. So he's got all the track in the world to himself in the 17 car, heading down the long straight, which is not particularly straight at all. Of course, you can straight line it a little bit, and staying to the right of the track up the crest is just a little bit less elevation than on the left side. Get yourself a few crucial little kilometers an hour before you fire into the high-speed section. Currently on a 17.3, and if he finds just 6 thousandths of a second, he can find himself ahead of Riley Blythe in the 13 car. So for Cooper Webster, he has to maximize this final corner. Does it very nicely. Car bouncing a little bit. He just grazes the inside curb. 17.3 to beat.
Ooh.
And he does another 17.3. And if he did that lap times his fastest lap, he would be 2 places back. So critically, those 500ths he did have did in fact get him up the grid, but up the grid is what Ethan Grigalt is going to be doing from P number 1 here tonight. He takes pole position over half a tenth ahead of Josh Rogers. Jared Filsell will come home in qualifying for P number 3, Dane Warren P4, and Jake Burden in the top 5 in car number 5 for Trans-Tasman Racing. Michael Cracknell will kick things off from P number 6 with Corey Preston with a great effort in P number 7 with Brett Loxton for company on the 4th row of the grid. Sam Blacklock hoping to move through the field with his Trans-Tasman Racing teammates, whilst Riley Blythe is one of your top ERT cars in P number 10.
And then we have Cooper Webster in position number 11. He's going to be joined on row 6 by Brady Myers. They're followed up by Josh Muggleton and Michael Taliancic. Thomas Hins will be looking to progress a little further, as will Wayne Burke. Wayne, another driver from last season who did amazingly well with a bit of poor luck. We'll hope to see him moving through the field as well. Scott Larnack will hope to have a good start in his new career with TTL, and Mitchell McLeod will line up alongside him on the 9th row. And Scott Sislowski and Emily Jones are going to round out the top 20.
Kicking things off from P21 is Mile McMullen, the Gene Fitties for company on that 11th row of the grid. Jamie Knight, Richie Stanaway on his return after a controversial last race he had in the V8 Soft is returning from P24. Greg Sharp and Brendan Jackson round out your 26 V8 supercars as we get ready to face 31 laps. No fuel restrictions, but will the tires hold on? That is the question we're all asking as we all get ready for one of the highest soft Kickstarter season we have seen in a long time. Monday Night Strength of Field is back. It is stronger than ever, and we have a very interesting 12 weeks of racing just about to kick off here on V8's Online. 5 seconds until the lights will come on, and these drivers will come hurtling into the high-speed turn number 1 as the revs rise. Let's get ready to kickstart Season 3 of the Monday Night Strength of Field, and it's going to be lights out, and away we go, and it's a good start from both of the front row drivers. Ethan Grigalt easily into the lead, defensive from Josh Rogers, instantly coming off the charge from Jared Filsell into turn number 1. Will we all get through the high speed, opening 2 corners safely? It is all good through turns number 1 as we now fire in some downhill turn number 2, which is so hard to negotiate. But so far, Zach, the driver's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, turn 2, Clayton Corner, so difficult to get everyone through there very cleanly. This field has done an absolutely fantastic job to get down there, but now we're coming up to the next danger zone, turn number 5. You've got to turn and brake very hard and make the corner. You've got a couple of people looking down the inside as they're coming in there. Don't think anybody's, oh yeah, a little bit of contact with Blacklock out the back of the corner there, and there's more trouble. Oh, there's a bit of a tangle up there. Just have to go back and catch
Oh, big crash, one of the ASM cars. Corey Preston involved as well, and a lot of cars with blown engines as well. The ASM car was Scott Sislowski. He's got big damage, but not as much damage as the other drivers who do have blown engines. So a disaster. Greg Sharp, one of the ones with big damage. Scott Larnack on his TTL V8 Supercar debut with big damage. We'll get a replay up on screen, but a lot of cars already involved in a lot of damage. And they are going to make their way back to the grid now, but even more carnage. We had 3 wide into turn number 1, and that is the driver, I believe, of Cooper Webster going for the audacious move. Gets it done. Riley Blythe now side by side with Brady Myers on his TTL V8 second race, side by side, almost contact. Don't push Blythe into the grass, just about hard racing, gets pushed into the grass, and almost contact as well to boot as they head into turn number 4. Opens the door there for, I think that's Josh Muggleton. Nice move, bit of contact as well. Muggleton now very close to the back of Brady Myers, but look at Blythe just trying to get defensive with his teammate Michael Cracknell. These two need to be working with each other, but they're not at all. Blythe around the outside, but is gonna have to lose that spot to Mark Cracknell. It might get worse. Horrible exit, and that now opens the door for Wayne Burke to get a better run. But fortunately, the V8 Supercar has enough horses to hold on to that spot for now. But Riley Blythe not being helped at all by anyone here.
Yeah, Riley Blythe just getting chewed up and spat out by the field there, but it's very hot up the front as well. Ethan Griggault has not gotten away from this field, and Josh Rogers and Jared Filsell are coming, and they're coming fast. Josh Rogers firing it up the inside at the final corner. White's corner, turn number 10, not quite able to pull it through. That's going to open it up for Filsell. Will he look down into turn number 1? Not quite, and he's got Dane Warren right in there as well. And then Jake Burton just waiting for something to go wrong, waiting for an opportunity to arise and push himself through. But Ethan managing to hold on for the time being, but these guys are racing very hard early on.
Absolutely, and a little mistake can lose you so much in this little battle pack. Of course, through turn number 1 and 2, you could not fit a piece of paper either side of Filsell's car, right under the wing of Josh Rogers in front, and he had Dane Warren right behind as well. So one little mistake here is going to be oh so critical for any one of these drivers. But out front, Ethan Griggault doing a fantastic job just to keep this as it is at the moment. But Rogers already having his intent made very clear into White's corner with that big dive, but couldn't do anything last time around. Down the straight now, the Mario Andretti straight as they head towards the very fast right-hander. Will he have a look? Of course he will. He's Josh Rogers down to the inside, gets the inside of Ethan Griggault, and will be able to take that move away if he can. Get around the outside into the left-hander. Very close racing. A look at Filsell and Warren behind as well. A duplicate, but we do have a brand new race leader, and his name is Josh Rogers. He's through the front, but who's going to be in P number 2? It's going to be Ethan Griggault, only just as Filsell has to defend from Dane Warren behind, but also has a half look at Ethan Griggault to 1. This battle pack is so close right now, and Ethan Griggault is in the heart of it, of course, now. Has to get some kind of retaliation to Josh Rogers in front, and has to be oh so careful of Filsell, who is actually under a lot of pressure from Warren. Warren just peeping out just a little bit into braking zones, just filling the mirrors of the Trans-Tasman racing car. Of course, Jared Filsell, not the reigning champion here. He has no extra exclusivity like he does in Scops. He's not the reigning champion. He doesn't have any special favors. And now, all of a sudden, Dane Warren is trying to take advantage. And anywhere he can, but look at Filsell having half a nose up the inside of Ethan Griggault out of Moss corner. And that has hurt his exit considerably. And that could open the door potentially for Dane Warren if Jake Burton doesn't have a go at him.
Yeah, and all this fighting sport, Sam Blacklock back onto the back of this pack as well, so he's going to be looking to do something, but yeah, these guys are going so aggressively. Josh doing a really good job to get past Ethan there, and I think that's really going to help his tyres for this race. He doesn't have to worry now. He's got a little bit of a gap. He doesn't have to worry about defending. He can just drive his lines and keep it smooth. The rest of these guys, they're all fighting like crazy. They're going to be trying to get on the power way too early. I even saw Dane Warren coming out of turn number 3 or 4 earlier, getting some wheel spin as he was exiting there. So using up the tyres early, and that begs the question, who in this pack is going to have tyres towards the end of the race?
Oh, Mitch McLeod gets a massive hit into turn number 1, and he's almost going to go around almost into the tyre wall. So lucky to avoid that. Sorry to cut across you there, Zach, but Mitch McLeod, so lucky to be still in this race. That was a battle pack that was happening all the way down the front little straight, and Jamie McKnight just overshot the turning just a little bit. Actually, McLeod giving a bit of a squeeze as well. They met in the middle, and very lucky to get away with all cars still on track.
Yeah, he nearly overcorrected into the fence there, and very lucky that he was able to come out on the other side of that. But, oh, and a bit of a, oh no, the out cars have come together. I think Michael Cracknell there got a bit of a bump, and Riley Blythe was just a bit in just wrong place, wrong time, and got tangled up by his teammate. Yes, it was, I think that was Wayne Burke there who just got into Michael Cracknell as they were coming through Moss Corner, and the two ERT cars just coming together. Very unfortunate there, but it's all going off at the moment. Such a big field with all these good drivers, and Filsell's having a look at Ethan Griggault, and he's all over the place trying to get past.
He is. These drivers are so hungry for any position they can get right now, and I think the big issue for Filsell here is you can see Rogers just beginning to create a gap out front. Well, I say just about beginning to create a gap, 3/10 almost last time around. A fantastic effort from Rogers at the moment, but Filsell cannot find a way past Ethan Griggault. But look how aggressively he's driving the car to the inside of the corner, but he has to not do that too much. Of course, he's compromising mid-corner speed, and if Ethan just keeps hitting his marks, he's going to be able to drive away on corner exit. But this is the one corner, Moss hairpin, where if you can get the better corner exit on any of your opponents, you can get a move done very easily. But Philcell just clips the inside curb a little bit on turn-in, which kills your momentum down the straight, all the way up the hill as well. Of course, this is not just a flat straight. This has an elevation change as well. Philcell will have to go defensive here because Dane Warren has the run.
Yeah, and it's very easy to go 2x2 through this SS section, and if you can hold out on the outside through this first section here, will pay dividends for you as you come out the other side. But unfortunately for us, they're not going to do that this time by. So Dane Warren still just biding his time and waiting for an opportunity to open up. Philcell's looked monumentally fast through that Moss corner, and it seems like Ethan is very, very focused on just maintaining the exit speed as he comes off to go down the Mario Andretti straight. So I think it will be interesting to see if Jared tries to go for a bit of a, not so much desperate, but a bit of a juke move down the inside of turn number 5 or 6 there, because he has looked very strong in the mid-corner speed, whereas Ethan has looked very good on exit every time. So they come down into turn number 5 now, both of them on the brakes as they're coming around the corner, and now hard on the brakes. And we see here Jared Philcell taking a tighter line, but this time opting for the better exit, as he does have Dane Warren right in the clutches behind them. And Jake Burton and Sam Blacklock here, they're actually looking pretty good because they're not fighting with these guys. They're just hanging back a little bit, just hitting their marks and doing their thing. But towards the end of this race, they could have the tyres to take it away from all the guys up ahead of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, there's no fuel restriction in this race, so fuel won't be an issue. But it does mean the drivers can do the race without pit stops, but that will be torturing the tyres. So if Blacklock and Burton can just look after their rubber just a little bit more and have something for those final 6, 7, whatever it might be, laps, where the tyres do begin to go off on these drivers who are fighting so aggressively, that is a big advantage to have in their pocket, especially over someone like Philcell, who right now is just torturing the tyres. But is there even more issues out there, Zach?
Riley Blythe just putting a nice move on Thomas Hinz there, and Michael Cracknell going to follow through and almost take the both of them. Will he go side by side?
Oh!
And the TRT come together again! This time, it's their own fault, and Riley Blythe comes out, and Michael Cracknell's hit hands, and he's lost it, and he takes to the inside of the corner. Very, very rough couple of laps for Michael Cracknell there, having to go side by side, but with the high intensity and the high speed of these corners at Mosport, it's very easy to go wrong very quickly, even when you're being cautious around your teammates.
Yeah, especially around teammates, of course, but that Evolution Racing team, they might need a revolution, because right now that is not how you need to be racing each other. You have to be working with each other. And at the moment, the teamwork just isn't there. And speaking of teamwork, Ethan Gregot not going to get any help from Michael Cracknell or Riley Blythe, because right now he is all on his own with these mirrors full of Jared Philcell, who once again just haunting the back bumper of the ERT car. So right now, Philcell still unable to find a way through, but still applying so much pressure at the moment. And at this point, it's almost a case of, can Ethan Gregot withstand this? Of course, we know how talented he is. He's got these championships, but even there, you could see just running a little bit wide on the corner exit. That's not something Ethan Gregot does. That's not something of his caliber that he would do. He would not run off the track so easily as Philcell dives to the inside. Can he get the job done? Not quite. So close between the two. Mid-corner, Ethan Gregot taking a very wide line that allows him to take so much mid-corner speed, and he might just hold on, almost contact down the high compression hill, and somehow they both keep on the road. That could have been an almighty shunt for Philcell, who sends it up the inside. Contact's made. Ethan Gregot going to go around, gets a hit from Jake Burton as well. Damage on both the cars, and what that has done has promoted Warren into position number 2 to chase down Rogers, because Philcell made a mockery of that move, unfortunately. Just completely lost it on turn-in, made massive contact, and that has really hurt Ethan Gregot, who's going to go side by side with Sam Blacklock, who is trying to benefit from this, but he's going to lose a position to Jake Burton potentially as well, as he gets run out all the way to the exit of the track. Now it's almost 3 wide, it's the final corner, White's corner, and contact's made between the two Trans-Tasman racing cars. So many teammates coming together in this race. At the moment, still side by side into turn number 1. Burton with a big dive up the inside of Sam Blacklock, cannot get it done. And so far, this battle pack has just exploded. But what that has done, Josh Rogers 2.7 seconds up the road.
Have they introduced a cash prize for this season, Bo? Because it seems like everyone's going for a dash for the cash. These guys are driving absolutely crazy tonight, but I got to say, I'm loving it. And it's not too outrageous. Phil Sell, unfortunately, that last time round, just losing the rear. I saw what he was trying to do. He was trying to cut back under Ethan Grigol and try and push him wide at the second apex for what is turn 6, but just didn't quite get it there. And now Dane Warren is going to be able to push his way forward and try catch up to Josh Rogers, who now has a 3-second nearly advantage. And just hearing as well that Richie Stanaway has stopped out on track, so maybe an issue for him there as Jared Vilsell now goes down the outside of Dane Warren, down the inside into turn number 9, but that's going to give Dane the advantage into the final corner, White's corner. But Jared Vilsell carrying some fantastic momentum round the outside. He's going to go round the outside again at turn number 1. If he can hold it there, he'll have the advantage for turn number 2. And he's done a fantastic job to hold that car there. Dane Warren giving a nice, respectful amount of room. And now Phil Sell is going to presumably come out ahead as they enter into turn number 2. Very nice job there, but he still has to defend from Warren, who is right on the heels and has been looking very quick so far, although Dane did cop a bit of a hit earlier in the race. He's got some damage to the side of that car, maybe not feeling quite as settled as Phil Sell is now, as he just starts to pull away a tiny bit of a gap after making that move.
I think what Warren might be trying to do as well, of course, he didn't try and fight that position too hard once Phil Sell really did get the upper ground. I think what Warren might do is he knows Phil Sell has a lot better car pace. He just wants him to be dragged along with Phil Sell to try and catch Rogers, because Rogers at the moment has a massive lead, and the only way anyone is going to catch him, I think, is with a little bit of teamwork. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But the battle pack behind us also just settled down just a little bit after all the drama we had. Ethan Grigol in his Holden Cruise is still holding strong in position number 4 with the outer rear wing at the moment. Sam Blacklock under a little bit of pressure from Jake Burden, his new air-cooled Trans-Tasman racing car. And it's actually a very nice exit out of the final corner for Burden, but not able to do anything with it. So this top 6 has settled down just a little bit, which is great to see. But we do have a nice little battle shaping up just slowly for position number 7. Cooper Webster just trying to get a bit of a run at the moment away from Brady Myers in the TTL Commodore, which is still a very odd sight to see. But I must say, a very nice looking car nonetheless. And I look forward to seeing that throughout the season and potentially in Viet Scops as well. But Wayne Burke also in a brand new livery for Synergy Sim Racing. A bit more of a brighter look almost with the chrome and silver look rather than the black that they normally run on the cars. Looks very nice as well. But they have to be careful as well with the Josh Muggleton just behind as well. So a lot of these battle packs happen at the moment, Zach, just include 3 or 4 cars, and they're all very, very close.
Yeah, they are. And Brady Myers and Cooper Webster were actually having a bit of a biffo a couple of laps prior, and Cooper Webster did a good job to get past Brady there. And Brady does seem to be using his rear tyres quite a little bit, and he's got Wayne Burke behind him now. And as we've seen from last season, Wayne Burke doesn't mind making his way through the field. He doesn't mind sticking it in there and getting a few overtakes done. So Brady going to have to be very careful, as now, just as I say it, Wayne Burke fires to the inside of Brady Myers. Very nice job there using the exit speed out of turn number 9 to carry himself deep into 10. And now they're going to go 2 by 2 into turn number 1 again. Little bit of door rubbing as they come through there, but nothing too outrageous. And Wayne Burke takes the position before they even get to turn number 2. Very nicely done there. And he's now got to hunt down Cooper Webster, who's only fractionally up the road, only about a second, and he should get that back within a couple of laps, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, these drivers are all very, very talented, know what they're doing in these cars. So any one of them could potentially be the one to chase down Cooper Webster. But he's done a very nice job at the moment just to build a bit of margin whilst the guys behind were battling. So a nice drive by Cooper Webster as well in P number 7 at the moment. A good result for him if he stays where he is. With 18 laps still on the clock, there's anything can still happen. But Dane Warren has not had the car pace that he would potentially like. Up in position number 3 at the moment. He's dropped away from Jared Filsell and is very slowly beginning to fall into the clutches of Ethan Grigol behind, who was 0.2 of a second quicker last time around. And I've got a feeling that it's going to be a bit more than 0.2 gained on this next lap for Ethan Grigol as they head through the White's corner and down to the front straight across the finish line. We'll see what the lap times are, and for Dane Warren, It's going to clock in at a time of 18.2, and it's going to be an 18.3. So actually, Dane trying to respond a little bit, but nonetheless, he's at the point now where Ethan Grigault has the slipstream, and from there, at a circuit like this, with the wind speeds we have here today, it could be potentially a very easy chance for Ethan Grigault to get onto the back bumper. Then it's about where can he get him way past.
Yeah, well, that damage doesn't seem to have affected him as dramatically as it would seem, given that he's missing the rear boot of his car, but he is they're only lapping about 2/10 a lap to 3/10 a lap slower than the leader, Josh K. Rogers, so maybe Josh out front doing a bit of tyre saving there, but nonetheless, these guys are still going very, very quickly, and Dane hasn't noticed once Phil Cell got past, again, trying to get the power down very early and making a bit of a mess of it on a couple of occasions, using up a lot of that rear tyre. So could now be in a bit of a race, bit of a phase of the race where everything's just starting to calm down a little bit, and these guys are going to sort out what they actually have left for the rest of the race, what ammunition they have left in regards to how much rubber they have on those tires. But Ethan Grigault, I've driven with Ethan quite a lot, and I've seen him race in real life on motion sims and everything. He's a very calm customer, and if there's anyone who can settle themselves back down and plug away and get a position back, it's Ethan. And so I would have no doubt that he'll be hounding Dane for the rest of this race and possibly get past him as well, even with that horrific damage to the back of his car.
Well, tyres are always going to be a talking point around this circuit, but not for Gene Fiddies. He dives into the pits on the halfway mark just about in this race, and he's going to get some new tyres on that Progression Racing Australia car. And he's going to file back out of pit lane with a lot of clean air. But all of a sudden, Dane Warren had a big moment out of the Moss hairpin there. Very lucky to hold on to it, but could this potentially be the run that Ethan Grigault needs? Potentially not quite close enough, but he's going to be more than close enough into the final few sections of corners, depending on how brave he is, firing it in, high speed, 170 km/h apex speeds through this long right-hander, downshift one gear into the left-hander, right under the nose of the All-Star Motorsports car, up the inside, sideways for Dane Warren, somehow holds onto it, gonna lose a spot to Sam Blacklock as well, so lucky to hold on to it, but he's not going to hold on to position number 4, because that's now in the hands of Sam Blacklock. A big moment for Dane Warren. So lucky to still be in this race, Zach.
Yeah, I think possibly Ethan Grigault might have given him just the ever so slightest tap, but it was enough to just start unsettling the car, and when you're changing direction like that and you need to brake, it's a pretty critical moment where the weight change of the car is occurring, and that obviously caused a pretty spectacular moment for Dane Warren there, and he was very skilled in managing to keep it on the track, but now a little bit of work to do for sure. Just having a look at the lap times as well, because I'm not sure that it's worth coming in for a tyre stop unless you're at this stage going to be about a second a lap slower towards the end of this race. Gene Fides came in fact, he did a 12-second stop and had a 30-second pit lane time. So I don't imagine that any of these guys will be coming in for tyres unless we see these lap times drop off dramatically.
Yeah, at the moment, they're still running within half a second of their fastest laps of the race. So it looks like tyres will not be a huge factor, and a lot of drivers will be going for the no-stop here today as Rogers continues to try and hold off Phil Cell, who was faster last time around, but only in the respect of 0.02 of a second. So Phil Cell going to have to dig just a little bit deeper if he's going to get a bit more time on Josh Rogers, who at the moment still holds a 3.5-second lead. But this battle pack at the moment, just behind Ethan Grigault and behind, is still where you need to keep up your eyes on, because at the moment Sam Blacklock not looking entirely comfortable, just having a few little wiggles in a few places, and Dane Warren was really able to get under the rear wing there into turn number 2, lost a bit of ground into 3, and again not quite hitting his marks downhill, just loses a little bit of ground. Dane Warren still wants redemption after that big slide in the final corner, but at the moment Ethan Grigault is still hitting your pack, and even then sometimes Sam Blacklock will be able to find just a few tenths in a few corners, but then the car setup of these two cars must be very different because Grigault just faster in a few other places, so it's still very ebb and flow in this battle.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting place to set up a car because you have that long straight, and you also want to make sure that you get a really fantastic exit to get down that straight. And some of these guys might have sacrificed a 10th down that straight or out of that exit to gain a 10th or 2 through all the corners. So, and as we know, a lot of different drivers have different ways they prefer to drive the car, and we have a lot of different teams here, including, you know, TTR have, what, 4 or 5 cars up in the top 10 right now. So those guys will all probably be running similar setups, and then we have a handful of other cars that are from different teams, so they'll be running different setups again. So the different cars have different strengths and weaknesses in different areas, despite them all looking the same. And Sam Blacklock has a weakness right now, and that is that his rear tires are starting to say no, and Dane Warren is starting to catch back up again. And you can see with the attitude of Dane Warren's car, he really wants to get past that TCR machine again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's getting very aggressive at the moment, but also Jake Burton behind getting very aggressive, almost a bump out of the exit of Moss Corner. And that's upset Dane Warren's exit just a little bit. So Warren has to probably look at his mirror more than looking in front of his windshield at the moment, as Jake Burton getting oh so close as they head up this big little hill at the moment does give even more advantage to the car behind, but not enough for Jake Burton to think about a move just yet. But this is the issue for Dane Warren, of course, almost a little bit wide there and almost open the door for Jake Burton to have a dive. We'll see what he does into the final corner. We've seen him make moves here before, not so successfully last time, but thinks better of it this time. But for Dane Warren, he has to try and get past Sam Blacklock in some way. But in doing that, you're always going to compromise your mid-corner speed when you try and fight with the car in front. And that's always going to open up a possibility for the car behind. So for Dane Warren, he really has to pick and choose his moments at the moment. But at the moment, I'm saying at the moment quite a lot, but it's really for Dane Warren at the moment to really find a way past.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of sections around this track where you can make an overtake and not actually lose as much time as you might in other areas. That S's section towards lap, I mean, you can take a couple of different lines through that corner and it still be quite quick. And through turn 1 as well, you'll notice as we're going around the track, there are kind of what look like cutout sections of darker concrete, particularly at turn 1 and I think on the entry into 5 and maybe through the S's as well. And those sections of track actually have a significant amount of grip comparable to the compared to the grayish track, which is the majority. And so you can use the outside of the corners if the material is out there to use it.
Big dive up the inside for Sam Blacklock, trying to get past Ethan Grigol. Almost had it work. He's going to try and get into the final corner. Big dive to the inside and clears Ethan Grigol even before mid-corner and has to get very defensive on the exit. Drives him to the pit wall. Just about. Grigol, no way through. But there is going to be a way through for Dane Warren. Fantastic for Warren. Around the outside. Brilliant bit of heads-up driving for him. Saw that Grigol was slow on the exit and could just dive it around the outside whilst Blacklock was trying to hold it up. And look at this train now, nose to tail, traffic jam here in Canada, and it's going to be a very, very aggressive as Burton thinks about getting past Grigol, can't do it at the moment. But this battle pack has come alive once again. It slows down for just a few laps, but then explodes all of a sudden. Blacklock now, position number 3, fantastic for him. In the iRating terms, he'd be up plus 100. That shows how well he is doing in car 21. But Dane Warren is going to be very difficult to hold off as we go out of Moss Corner now, where traction is so critical. And look at the run Warren's guys, Blacklock, massive wiggle in a straight line. Don't know how that possibly happened. That only can just justify how horrible his rear tires must be. At the moment, Dane Warren doesn't even need a slipstream, can just drive alongside. But how brave is he going to be? Contact's made. Goodbye, Dane Warren. Exit stage left. He is gone. He is at the back of the pack now, not even with a slipstream. So Blacklock unceremoniously dumps him. And Greg Gott going to try and repay the favour up the inside into White's corner. Can't get it done. This battle pack has exploded here.
Yeah, and with 11 laps to go, these guys are really going to have to consider how many incident points they have left, because as we all know, you only get 17 points in iRacing before you get disqualified from this session. And I dare say that a couple of these guys would be up in the upper reaches towards that margin, and especially Dane Warren. He's had a couple of little biffs and a couple of off tracks, so he'll have to try and catch up while remaining on the track. And Ethan Grigol as well, another person who's going to have a couple. And he's looking very strong, though, on the back of Sam Blacklock, who now just has a little bit of breathing room as they come through Moss Corner once again. And We'll see if Sam can manage to keep it straight on the straight this time. That was a massive moment last time, and very unfortunate that that's set up for him and Dane to have a bit of contact there. But yeah, these guys are really pushing hard considering we've still got 11 laps to go. But I mean, when you're in a battle this tight, it's very easy to for the heart rate to jump up and to just start going for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's going to be a lot of question marks now, which have already been revealed with Sam Blacklock. Still 10 laps to go, but we saw a big wiggle in the middle of straight away, which is quite a fair way away from the real traction point of the Moss hairpin. You should already be well and truly committed to full throttle at that point. And even on the exit there, Sam Blacklock's rear tyres are not healthy at the moment. That is a big weakness, and he is only going to get slower and slower and more unstable as the laps tick down. And 10 laps at Mosport, that's a lot of stress on these tyres here, because the tyre wear is quite aggressive. But we do have a big battle at the moment.
We might just jump to Riley Blythe. Yes, absolutely. Riley Blythe almost made a very opportunistic move as Brett Loxton was trying to take it to Josh Muggleton there and wasn't quite able to pull it off. I think he's had a couple of incidents this race, Riley Blythe, and just wants to ensure that he's going to make it to the end, so bailed out of that very sensibly. But these guys, again, just like the pack further up the road, these guys have been very, very tight for the last few laps, and Muggleton are able to just manage to get away as they come down the Andretti straight now. But Riley Blythe is looking very hot on the heels of Brett Loxton, and Riley has been doing a fantastic job to recuperate that time that he lost by coming together with his teammate earlier in the race on 2 occasions. He's going to hunt the back of Brett Loxton, might try and fire it down the inside into turn number 10. Yeah, he's got a nice amount of run speed there, but not quite able. Brett Loxton able to carry it around the outside with some nice speed there. And just hearing as well, Ethan Grigault has moved up into 3rd position, Burton, sorry, dropped a spot, and they're going at it still. A little bit of contact on the exit of turn number 2 there. And Ethan Grigault moving himself back into position number 4, so he can now get back to trying to hunt down Sam Blacklock again. But these two battle packs are very intense right now, and Riley Blythe again right on the back of Brett Loxton, and Thomas Hinz is also looking for an opportunity to follow him through too as well, looking very, very feisty. Riley now trying to carry as much mid-corner speed, taking a very shallow line compared to Loxton, fires it up in there. That's going to force Loxton to go wide, but it is going to compromise Riley Blythe's exit. And now Thomas Hinz has a nice run coming down the Andretti straight. Is Thomas going to go left? Is he going to go right? He's trying to make Riley guess. Looks like that Riley has a bit more speed down the straight. And again, coming into the S is Riley Blythe, going to go round the outside of Brett Loxton. And we'll see if he can make it work this time. 2x2 still. Good amount of racing room between these guys, and Riley's going to have to try around the outside. There's that tarmac I was talking about. A little bit of a bump there, and that's going to shoot Riley wide enough to allow Thomas Hinz through. So I kind of backfired a little bit for him there, but now Thomas Hinz is going to have an opportunity in the next couple of corners.
Yeah, you very well might, especially if Loxton keeps driving through the grass as he does on the exit of turn number 1. But this battle pack is so close at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on this as Hinzy gets a very nice run out of T number 2, but of course it's so hard to get a move done into turn number 3. But if Brett Loxton's going to run that wide, that might make it a little bit easier. He's going to have no corner exit speed here, and that might just allow Thomas Hinz, if he's brave, if he can somehow go around the outside downhill through the fast left-hander. Can he do it? Not 3 wide. Brett Loxton gets a hit. So lucky to hold on to it. Door open for Thomas Hinz. He's through. Can Riley Blythe get through as well? Of course he can. Job done. Brett Loxton. 1 corner, 2 positions lost.
Yeah, and Marlon McMullen now, unfortunately, he got a really bad exit there. That was probably the one he should have aimed to nail, because I think he would have been right up on the back of Loxton had he not messed that up. But Riley Blythe now looking to get past Thomas Hinz and trying to work back that position that he lost, trying to go door to door with Loxton before. Looking pretty good, but Loxton also trying to return the favour and just trying to get back on the bar of Riley Blythe there and maybe give him a bit of a nudge and a bit of unsettlement. That was a very cheeky move by Riley Blythe down into turn number 5, but very luckily Brett Loxton was able to hold on and they all made it out. But Thomas Hinz has been driving very consistently. Fantastic driver in many, many different cars. And in this V8 Supercar, he's always been very, very consistent. And Riley Blythe, though, is a very, very tough person to deal with. And he will come at you relentlessly until he either crashes or he gets past you. So I think Thomas Hinz is going to have to make that decision at one point in the very near future, because Riley Blythe looks like he's coming and coming fast.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is one of his favorite places to get a move done, but can he do it this time around? Thomas gets a pretty good exit. Actually, they got a pretty even exit, to be honest. They didn't get any wheel spin at all, and they're both going to fire it down the Andretti straight. Who was going to have the advantage is, of course, going to be Riley Blythe with the slipstream, but I didn't think it would be that powerful already alongside. But Hinzy going to make him go the long way around through the long right-hander, high speed, but maximum commitment from Blythe. Holds it around the outside, which is going to open the door for this left-hander, but he has to clear him here, and he does clear him, drives him to all the way to the right, blocks off any chance of an overtake from Hinzy getting back through. Nice move from Riley Blythe there to move himself back up into that position, number 11. So a nice move there, but we'll have to wait and see if he can hold on, because there are still 6 very long laps to go. As I've got a car around, it's Josh Muggleton. Hold the brakes, lucky not to go back onto the circuit. What on earth happened to the number 6 car? Coming through turn number 1, dipped his rear tires into the grass, and oh so easily flicked around.
Yeah, that was relatively well held. I mean, he was very, very skilled in not just absolutely careering into the barriers there, but unfortunately he did just overcorrect a little and probably had a little bit too much on the gas as he was coming out of the corner there. And wow, that was a real tank slapper. Very good job to get on the brakes so early and not go into the wall. But unfortunately, he has lost a bunch of positions and was doing fantastically well. And we're now having a look at Sam Blacklock and Ethan Grigalt further up the field, back in our final podium position battle. And Sam Blacklock is now under fire from Ethan Grigalt, who has been working his way back and also towing Jake Burton up onto this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This battle pack is getting very, very close, and it's not just Jake Burton who could potentially find his way in this battle. It's Dane Warren as well, who is just lurking in the background, which is probably the safest distance to be, as Ethan Grigalt just basically pushing Sam Blacklock through the corner. Blacklock's to retire is not too happy at the moment. Don't be surprised if Grigalt tries to find a way up the inside, but there's not going to be an inside if Sam Blacklock just drives it to the inside of the corner. But with Sam defending this hard so early, he's just going to be hurting himself, but it is going to help his teammate Jake Burton up the inside, so close through that very fast left-hander. Not where you want to be, but Jake Burton's almost going to lose it all by himself with a horrible bounce off the inside curb there. Lucky to hold on to it, but no way through at the moment. But a very nice exit. Grigalt doesn't get the best exit possible, but Blacklock driving so defensively right now. He knows he can't pull away. He doesn't have the car pace anymore. He doesn't have the rear tires. He has to drive this car defensively. He was trying to break the slipstream at the start of the straight, and he hasn't got any traction, so he's been driving it very aggressively to the inside of the corner. And Ethan Grigalt, he's been in battles before. He's fought the best and won. So for Sam Blacklock, this is going to be a real test of character.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty evident that he's not going to be running away from Ethan Grigalt anytime soon, is Sam Blacklock. So possibly just trying to hold him up and put him into the clutch of his teammate. And then when they start going side by side, that might give him enough of an opportunity to build a small gap. And that might be enough of a cushion to get him to the end of the race unchallenged. But right now, Ethan Grigalt is looking very good, has dropped back a little bit just at the beginning of this lap, but we have seen that his car speed has looked phenomenal all throughout this race, and Jake Burton behind also desperately trying to hold on to the back and keep applying that pressure, because if Sam Blacklock's going to hold up Ethan, Jake really wants to be there. He doesn't want to miss the opportunity that his teammate's going to set up for him. But Sam's been doing a really good job of getting a fantastic exit out of the Moss corner, and that's probably half the battle around this track, unless you make a bit of a mistake in the S's and you become susceptible at turn 1. But Sam's rear tyres must be absolutely toast by now, and I think all these guys, 30 laps in these V8 Supercars around here on a set of tyres is not going to be very... and you can see, actually, compared to earlier in the race, they're now even 3 to 4 tenths off what they were mid-race, so now nearly a second off what they were doing at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, well, we do have another battle happening on track at the moment, which is a little bit closer than it was before. We did say Wayne Burke is very quick in these V8 supercars, but he has found his way to the back of Cooper Webster, but it's not going to be an easy fight at all. Of course, both these guys have real-world karting experience, so they're very used to close-quarters combat, high-speed stuff in the real world, but on the sim, who is going to have the better advantage out of these two? Webster going to have a very tough 3 laps to try and defend from Wayne Burke at the moment, but at the moment, Burke just not quite close enough. So we'll wait and see what can happen here as they now get ready through the long right-hander. And this is the part where for Burke, he really has to start trying to set up a move, and he's perfectly close. I didn't think he'd set up a move here, but he's going to throw it up the inside. Webster leaves room side by side, but there's no real way he can get away past unless he can cross over here. Bit of contact made as well, and they're still going to make contact on the exit potentially. Burke actually lifts out of the throttle just a bit there, wasn't happy with how that overtake was going, decides to back out of it and try again, which is the gentlemanly thing to do. But with 2.5 laps to go, gentlemanly might not be the way to get this position at the moment.
Yeah, well, it might be just by chucking it around the outside up here into the S's. So he's going to take a nice wide entry into here, and that's going to allow him to carry some nice speed into the next corner. And then if he can carry enough mid-corner speed and exit speed through here, but Cooper Webster's the wiser, and he blocks that middle line there, which is not going to allow for Wayne to pull off the move that he wanted to. I think Cooper Webster's doing a really good, big dive, and very close to contact. I think Wayne Burke is starting to get a little desperate here to get past, but none of these moves are really coming off as he wants them to. I think Cooper Webster's a very talented racer and a little wiser to these moves than maybe some other people that Wayne's come across in this race so far. And you can see the attitude of Wayne's car now. It's getting a little bit loose as he's coming through turn number 3 there, Quebec corner. And Webster doing a very, very good job being very alert into the Moss corner the previous time round. This time doesn't have as much pressure to deal with, but Wayne Burke has fantastic speed and is going to run that wider line, and that's going to give him a really good exit out of Moss corner and down the Andretti straight. And if Wayne Burke doesn't get it here, I would be very surprised. He's going to, he almost tucked back in, but I think he didn't quite have the overlap, realized very late, pulled back out. They're going side by side, and once again he's going to try and go around the outside into the S's. So we go in, and once more Wayne running very wide is going to cut back in and try and carry more speed through the exit of this corner to take the inside at 10, but unfortunately just too far back this time around, and he's only got 1 lap left to do it. Otherwise he's going to have to reside in position number 8.
Yeah, he very well might have to reside in position number 8. Not what he wants to do, but he is currently +8 positions, which is still a fantastic drive nonetheless of what happens in this battle. As it stands for position number 3, Blacklock has managed to get a bit of a gap at the moment. Ethan Grigold not quite close enough. In fact, his main challenge is going to come behind with Jake Burton just very, very close behind. But is he going to be enough to get a move done at the end of the Andretti straight? That is what we'll have to wait and find out as they go through the double right apex corner. So hard to get a run, but Jake Burton gets a fantastic run, actually gets the car turned, but it will spin in the second phase. Could not get the traction, and neither could Dane Warren, which is going to hurt because he could have potentially got a move done on Burton. But very quickly, we have to turn our attention to the number 4 car. Josh Rogers got into the lead very early in this race and never looked back. It's one of the highest strength of fields we've seen in ages, and it's going to be Josh Rogers who is going to take out round number 1 of Season 3 in the Monday Night Strength of Field Series. Phil Sell tried to get back at him, but it was never quite going to be enough. But for position number 3, Sam Blacklock is going to have a fantastic drive to take that away. But look at the battle for P number 4 as Jake Burton lights the rear tires out of the final corner. What can Webster and Burke do? It's almost going to be a drag race, but it's not quite going to be enough for Cooper Webster. Just enough horses in that car to keep him in front. And also we have a battle between Cracknell and Muggleton, who are going to go side by side. That was a very, very close race, and Cracknell got it in the end. Very, very close, and somehow Cracknell finds himself +1 position after the troubles he did have earlier in the race, and that might just about be it for our battles in that field. But Zach, my word, that race had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that was one of the most intense races we've seen in this V8's Online official series in a very long time. I can't remember, I actually can't remember a race with so much going on. And usually the strategy kind of spices things up with guys having to come into the pits. But on this occasion, I feel like not having that pit stop might have even made things even more crazy because guys had, but it didn't seem like anyone was saving their tires at all. Everyone was just going absolutely crazy, and especially at the beginning, Josh Rogers really made that critical move, which set him up for the victory on Ethan Grid Gold early on, and he was just able to manage that gap to the rest of the field as they all fought on behind him. So very well done to him. But yes, I mean, just look at all the starting positions and look at where everyone ended up. It's absolutely crazy.
Absolutely. So we will take a look at where everyone ended up. And as we mentioned, Josh Rogers did manage to take the win away after 40 minutes and 23 seconds of hard racing. He had to manage the gap to Phil Sell, which was not easy. They were trading laps every single time around. But that margin he did build early on proved to be the critical factor. Sam Blacklock had to do it the hard way, but he did take a podium finish away, which is a fantastic result for him in his hunt for the championship. Ethan Gregol comes home in P number 4. Great to see him in the strength of field race, which we need to see more of in this season. And Jake Burton will round out the top 5 in car number 5. Dane Warren had a very tough race, had a lot of contact as well. Comes home P number 6 with Cooper Webster and Wayne Burke very close to start across the start finish line. 7th and 8th with Brady Myers and Riley Blythe, your top 10.
Yeah, Brett Loxton doing very, Thomas Hinds doing very well to come home in position number 11. He was followed up by Brett Loxton in very quick succession. Then Michael Taliantich came home ahead of Marlon McMullen, our current series champion. And he's going to have to look to push his results a bit higher up for the rest of the season if he wants to be able to defend that title. He was followed up by TTR's Emily Jones and Michael Cracknell in 16th position. Josh Muggleton took out 17th. Jamie McKnight having a bit of a moment earlier on and ending up down in 18th position. Mitchell McLeod in 19th, and Gene Fide, after pretty much being the only person to take a pit stop, I think, finished inside top 20. Then we had Scott Larnack in 21. A bit of a disappointing start for Scott on his debut with some car action ending his run early on, and Brendan Jackson coming home in position number 22. And then we have the first of our DNFs, Richie Stanaway, unfortunately, the real-life V8 supercar driver, not able to complete these 31 laps around Mosport, nor was Corey Preston, who got pushed out wide on the first lap and came to grief with Scott Sislowski and Greg Sharp in the first lap shenanigans. But for the most part, other than that accident at on the first lap, it was a fairly, I mean, there was a bit of biffing and barging here throughout the race, but for the most part, it was pretty clean and very exciting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely, it was. And if this is just what the season is going to be like, we're going to need even more voice boxes. It's going to be a very, very interesting season. But we are going to have round number 2 next week at Laguna Seca, which is going to be at Bathurst. Sorry, I am great with season schedules. But Bathurst is going to be very interesting. The strength of field could potentially be even higher again, which would just be mind-blowing. So we'll wait and see how that pans out. But that's not going to be our next broadcast. Our next broadcast is going to be just tomorrow with the Tuesday Australian Sprint Car Championship, which is going to be very, very exciting to watch. The sprint cars always put on a fantastic show. So expect some close quarters racing and a slide job or two on the track as they try and fight their way for the championship. On Saturday morning, we have the Brett Wheeler support race, which is going to be for a great cause. Of course, Brett Wheeler, a fantastic help in the community, and of course in a time of need himself now. So if we can get some help and support behind that race, that would be fantastic. Be sure to check that out on Saturday morning. And on Sunday, we are going to be covering the final 3 hours of the Majors Le Mans, 24 hours, prototypes, GTEs, whatever you like. That race is going to have it all. Zach, are you looking forward to the week ahead in racing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got fantastic commentators here on V8 Online, and there are tons of fantastic drivers who race in the series. Probably have to pop my goggles on so I can watch the sprint cars tomorrow night, because they'll be flinging dirt all over the place. But a lot of good races, and also good to see the community hopefully getting involved and getting towards a good cause as well. Always good to see. And we've done some really good work in those regards previously, and so I have no doubt that that event will be equally as fantastic.
Absolutely. But from us here at V8 Online, on behalf of this first round of the Monday night Strength of Field series, it's going to be a cracking season if that first race was anything to go by. But on behalf of myself, Jay Kennedy, and of course Zach Hanlon for joining me in the commentators booth, that's going to be us for round number 1. We'll see you tomorrow night.